وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المكرمين المنتجبين لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. For the hastening and the return of our Imam, let's recite as-salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Firstly, I'd like to apologize. As I said last night during the speech, I was planning to make the speech around 35-40 minutes, not even 45, but I felt like the topic was not complete. I had to mention those additional points. Inshallah, Allah helps, and we're able to bring what our Imam wants of us in his remembrance, in his commemoration, something that is beneficial to all. Inshallah, recite another salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
We mentioned that the topic for tonight is Ashura and Imam al-Hujjah عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف وروحي له الفداء.
صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Before anything, let me say that the entire majlis, the commemoration of Muharram, from the year he became the Imam all the way until today, until his arrival, whether we realize or not, is preparation for the Imam. As it was right after Ashura itself, going for Arba'een back to Karbala by the family of the Imam, a difficult choice to make. Not a choice that a family would want to make. A battlefield with many bitter memories, many difficult memories. It was part of the jihad, part of the struggle for the Ahlul Bayt to go to Karbala on the 40th, on the Arba'een, according to legitimate historic accounts. The same year, from Sham, they requested to go to Karbala before Medina. And there's a reason for that. It's part of the jihad, inshallah. When you commemorate Arba'een, there should be mention of that, and we should think about that. The idea is, right after the event of Ashura, any commemoration of Ashura, any commemoration of Karbala, any remembrance of Imam al-Hussein and his sacrifice was in order to prepare people for the advent of the establishment of the government of the Ahlul Bayt. So that's the first point. Inshallah, we take that on board, we think about it. This is without us even realizing, without us even knowing. What we want to do tonight is to cover that topic briefly, as if we are able to pay closer attention and be a little more conscious and understanding of that connection between the commemoration of Muharram, remembrance of Ashura, and the establishment of the government of the Ahlul Bayt, the more we are aware of that, then the effect of it will be more in line with that idea and with that objective. We'll be able to accomplish more, inshallah. Recite a salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
There is much to say. I don't know if the echo can be lowered. I think the echo is a bit too much for the speech. I'm getting a little distracted with the echo of my own voice. Recite a salawat, please.
Allahumma salli ala
Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Apologies, brother Shakir. There's a lot to say in this regard, and I can't cover all of the material. As you have heard, probably, one of the slogans of the Imam of our time is going to be Ya la tharat al-Hussein. Okay, so clearly, just with that very brief understanding that we have, we know there's a clear connection between Imam al-Hussein and the coming of the Imam and the establishment of the government. I want to get a little deeper, mention maybe 2 or 3 points depending on what time allows in terms of the connection between Imam al-Hussein and Imam al-Hujjah. Ashura, Muharram, the sacrifice of the Imam, and Imam al-Hujjah. The first point that I would like to share based on hadith for us to understand a little better not just Imam al-Hussein and Imam al-Hujjah, but all of our Imams. There's an understanding we need to arrive at in regards to our Imams that we have not gotten there. There's a deficiency in the understanding of our Imams. We need to correct that, and if we don't, it will impact how we will consider ourselves followers of the Ahlul Bayt. We all know we don't want to be simply muhibbeen of Ahlul Bayt. There are those who are muhib of Ahlul Bayt. In Egypt, they don't even belief-wise, in their belief, they don't consider the Imams to be muftarad al-ta'ah. They don't consider the Imams to be such that whatever they say, we need to listen to them. They are muhib. And alhamdulillah, that is the case, and we know there are many people who are muhibbeen of the Ahlul Bayt. Our title, which we aspire to become, and it's not just a title to carry, is that we are the Shia of the Ahlul Bayt. We want to follow the Ahlul Bayt. Depending on our understanding of the Ahlul Bayt, our following of the Ahlul Bayt will be different. That doesn't mean if we correct our understanding, we will necessarily follow exactly as we understand. But if we have a wrong understanding of who the Ahlul Bayt were, what their goal was, what they were trying to accomplish was, what they were doing throughout their lives was, if we have a misunderstanding of that, even when we try to resemble them, we want to follow them, we will be following a misunderstanding of who they were. So it's very important to first correct our understanding regarding the Ahlul Bayt. So the hadith I'm going to share with you, and we will see a connection between Ashura and the establishment of the government of the Ahlul Bayt by the 12th Imam. It will help us not only understand these two Imams' connection, their movement, but rather all of the Imams. We will see a clear connection. The hadith suggests that the Amr of the Ahlul Bayt, this is referenced, we have legitimate and reliable and authentic hadith on this. The Amr of the Ahlul Bayt was supposed to occur in the year 70 after the Hijrah. The year 70 after the Hijrah. We refer to the 12th Imam with what title? Sahibul Amr. Okay. Sahibul Amr. The 12th Imam is Sahibul Amr. Amr is the governance of the Ahlul Bayt. The wilayah of the Amr of the Ummah is with the Imam. The Sahibul Asr is Sahibul Amr. He's got the affair of the Ummah, the Amr of the Ummah, the command of the Ummah, the rulership, the governance of the Ummah. The word Amr refers to this. Amr of the Ahlul Bayt is this. It says the Amr of the Ahlul Bayt was actually supposed to happen what year? The year 70 after the Hijrah. Do the math. What's the year of Ashura? It's the 10th of the first month of the year 61 after the Hijrah. Right? According to this hadith, which is a clear-cut, let me say this as well. I've mentioned this hadith, I think, I need to mention it frequently because I have barely heard this. I think one of the problems that we face when we come across such hadith is, what in the world does that mean? There's much to cover in regards to this hadith. I'm only able to cover a part of it. I first came across this hadith and I was wondering, what is this supposed to mean? The full hadith, before any interpretation, says it was supposed to occur in the year 70. Because of what happened in Karbala, it was postponed. To what year? To the year 140. The time of Imam al-Sadiq salamullah alayhi. He was martyred what year? 148. And then it says there was a problem. The followers of the Ahlul Bayt, they revealed the secrets of the Ahlul Bayt. They did not incorporate taqiyya with that correct understanding. Not what we understand. We think taqiyya is this. This is taqiyya. This is not taqiyya. For Ali ibn Yaqtin, yes, taqiyya was to make wudu in that particular way. That's Ali ibn Yaqtin. The Imams didn't have such a command for the Shia to perform wudu in that way. Ali ibn Yaqtin was told to perform wudu in that particular way. We think taqiyya is not to put turba. Is that taqiyya? Is that the meaning of it? We think taqiyya means fear. Out of fear, just hide everything. Hide ashhadu anna aliyan waliyullah, hide your turba, hide your love for Amir al-Mu'minin, hide the title of tashayyu, hide, do ameen, okay, in everything. This is taqiyya. Out of what? Out of fear. We're afraid of the majority. This is a complete misunderstanding of taqiyya. A complete misunderstanding of taqiyya. For another time discussing taqiyya. The Imams said there was a secret movement based on the hadith, because it says the followers revealed those secrets. Because of that, the movement again was postponed. The governance was postponed. This time to what year? It says this time no year was put to it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala postponed it, and He has not revealed to us what year it will happen. When I first came across this hadith, I had not heard any of the ulama give any interpretation in regards to this hadith. It's found in books of hadith. Usually there's commentary. You look at the commentary. For example, Allama Majlisi has a commentary on Al-Kafi. Other ulama have commentaries on that particular book. Other books have commentaries. Shaykh As-Saduq himself, when he writes a book of hadith, he compiles hadith. Sometimes he puts commentary, a few words explaining something. Came across this hadith, I didn't find any commentary. And I'm wondering, what in the world does this mean? It seems to be related to a topic discussed in theology, which is called bada. You've heard of the concept of al-bada. Something that is said to us will occur at a certain time, and then it is said to us that no, it got postponed. There's plenty of instances, and that's an important theological discussion. I thought, is this related to this? Is it telling us something else? I mean, the year 70 after the Hijrah, that's not the 12th Imam. That is what? Imam Zayn al-Abidin's time. The year 140 is Imam al-Sadiq's time. I thought the Amr of the Ahlul Bayt is supposed to occur with the 12th Imam. What in the world is this supposed to be telling us? Until I came across an interpretation, an explanation that made sense, made a whole lot of sense. And that is that the Ahlul Bayt, based on divine teachings, were planning to establish the Amr of the Ahlul Bayt, the governance and the government of the Ahlul Bayt, the year 70 after the Hijrah. When did this discussion even arise? Amir al-Mu'minin was Imam al-Ummah after the Prophet, even during the 25 years that he was not the so-called Khalifa. He was the Imam. All the Imams were the Imam, completely with full authority from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and full responsibility of leadership. And they led in the best way possible in those circumstances. 5 years of governance of Amir al-Mu'minin officially as the Khalifa. 6 months, approximately 5 years. 6 months of Imam al-Hasan. The treaty occurs from that point onwards. the governance of Islam transformed. The governance of Muawiyah, as we elaborated briefly last night, was something that was completely different from anything before it. The worst period before Amir al-Mu'mineen was Uthman's period, in terms of the corruptions that had developed and were evident, not the fundamental ideological corruption that started right after the demise of the Prophet. The corruption, the discrimination, the cruelty, the unjust treatment of people, these things became worse and worse. But prior to Amir al-Mu'mineen, the worst period was Uthman's. But the Umayyad government, Muawiyah's government, compared to that is incomparable. That's why even Ahlul Sunnah refer to that period onwards as the period of the muluk. They're not khulafa. They gave themselves that title, but any Muslim historian pretty much looking in that period refers to these rulers as muluk, not as khulafa. They said Khulafa Rashidin ends with Amir al-Mu'mineen. Afterwards, there's the period of the muluk. Of course, according to us, it's 6 months of Imam al-Mujtaba as well. After that, governance in its official capacity is carried out by those who did not resemble even one bit the governance of the Holy Prophet. From that point onwards, the Ahlul Bayt did not sit idly saying, okay, people did not support us, so we're not going to be the Imams of the Ummah. Imam al-Mujtaba did not sign that treaty, which we don't even as Shia look at the treaty. We don't see what Imam al-Mujtaba signed. Do we realize that Imam al-Mujtaba in the treaty, in the agreement, he said, we agree for you to have governance, Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, with the condition that after you don't pass it on to Yazid, or at that point, I'm not sure if that was part of the conversation, to your offspring, and that it goes back to the Ahlul Bayt. That was the agreement. So we think Imam al-Mujtaba, this is our misunderstanding here. We think Imam al-Mujtaba, salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhi, this Imam, this madloom Imam, one of the madloomiyat of the madloomiyah of Imam al-Mujtaba is that the Shia look at him in this way. We think out of weakness, he said, okay, let's sign this, and then he's waiting for Muawiyah to come and give him that. And then he's disappointed when Muawiyah, right after the treaty, comes to Kufa in the Jama' where Amir al-Mu'mineen used to speak, when Imam al-Mujtaba used to speak, he stood up and he said, this contract is beneath my feet. He stepped on it. I think Imam al-Mujtaba thought he's going to abide by it, and that's why he signed it. Now he's disappointed. How ridiculous is that understanding of the Imams? You think Imam al-Mujtaba didn't understand who Muawiyah is? Is that your Imam? Is that your leader? Is that someone? A child would know Muawiyah would not treat his word. You know what type of trickery he uses? You think Imam al-Mujtaba doesn't understand this? Isn't this disrespect of the Imam? When the Imam gives his word, when he makes the agreement, he doesn't care about the other side, whether they uphold their agreement or not. He is agreeing. This actually tells us the policy of Imam al-Mujtaba. Imam al-Mujtaba is announcing that I will only agree not to rise against and fight Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan. I do not give my word, and I do not agree that after Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan I won't fight. This is what Imam al-Mujtaba is saying. I don't care what Muawiyah does. Let him do whatever he wants. I know he's going to do what he's going to do. I'm telling you, when I give my word, see, this is another Islamic political difference between us, between Muslims and non-Muslim and non-Islamic politics. The Quran says, "Awfu bil-uqud." Okay. Very, very important emphasis there. When you sign an agreement, when you make an agreement with someone, you have got to abide by it. Doesn't matter who the other party is. You will abide by it. Imam al-Mujtaba says, this is my agreement and I will abide by this. In other words, I will not give my word I am not agreeing to the governance of the Umayyads post Muawiyah. What does this tell us? Exactly what the hadith I mentioned initially. Imam al-Mujtaba's plan, as he revealed to Sulaiman ibn Surad, this is way before Karbala. This is 19 years before Karbala. Sulaiman ibn Surad is one of the followers of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Most of the followers of Amir al-Mu'mineen in Kufa did not understand what Imam al-Mujtaba is doing. That's why they referred to him Ya Mudhill al-Awliya, Ya Mudhill al-Mu'mineen. Some of the companions of Amir al-Mu'mineen said that to him because they didn't understand. They didn't understand what Imam al-Mujtaba is doing. He was shifting gears, changing the format that they're going. They're not agreeing. They're not leaving it. All these people were confused. They kept coming to Medina saying, what are we doing? We should rise against this. This is what Muawiyah is doing. This is what this is caused, and so on and so forth. Imam al-Mujtaba kept saying, be patient. Be patient. Different people came, be patient. He moved after a while from Kufa to Medina. Then people started coming to Medina. In one instance, Sulaiman ibn Surad al-Khuza'i, he comes to Medina with a bunch of people. The Imam takes Sulaiman and a couple other people into the back room. He has a conversation with them. They come back. They don't discuss it with their people, like, let's go. We're done. We're happy. What happened in that session? What did the Imam tell them in that session? They were saying, let's have an uprising. Afterwards, they're convinced, okay, we're not doing anything right now. Or they don't say, he doesn't say we're not doing anything. Just says, let's go. What happens? These ahadith, when you put them together, you realize that taqiyya, that underground movement, the secrecy of the Ahlul Bayt that needed to be there, Imam al-Mujtaba planned this for after Muawiyah. It wasn't like Imam al-Hussein woke up and he heard, oh, Muawiyah is dead. This is the way we hear the history of Karbala. It starts with the news of the death of Muawiyah was received in Medina. And the governor of Medina was told to bring Imam al-Hussein in and to ask him to pledge allegiance and tell him if he does not, then he's going to be beheaded. That's where the history of Karbala begins for us. That's not where the history of Karbala begins. The history of the uprising of Imam al-Hussein starts with Imam al-Mujtaba. This was the plan of the Ahlul Bayt.